Hello and welcome back to episode 13 of our Q&A series. Now we are shooting this episode in the Antarctic. It is absolutely freezing, so I apologise if I'm sniffly and cold, but no, we're not really. It's obviously in the office. It's just absolutely freezing at the moment in the UK. But in today's episodes, we have some interesting questions from you guys and girls, so thank you very much. I've tried to keep it actually quite reduced in the amount of questions. I think we have 7 today, so not too many. But if you do want your question answered on this series, either leave it down below in the comment section, email us at info@kibbleWatches.co.uk, especially if you have a longer form question. I'm not opposed, to a very long form question and sort of an explanation to why you're asking. Feel free, it could be quite interesting. But the easiest way is when I put on my Instagram story that we're doing the Q&A. In there will be a box and you just put it in nice and easy. But before we dive into the questions, let's have a look at what's on wrist. I'm wearing my personal 1918 trench watch by Movado in sterling silver. This is insane, the fact it's 1918 and still working today. Granted, keeping terrible time. I keep having to change it, to be honest. I'm probably going to have to get it looked at soon, but I love this watch, and I think there's a question in here, which we'll probably discuss this watch a little bit, but I believe in wearing your watches. Now, obviously, if it's absolutely tipping it down outside, which to be honest, most of the time in the UK it is, I'm not going to wear this watch, but when I can, I like to wear it, so you should wear your watches. Now let's start the first question of 2022 by someone who wants to remain anonymous. Remember, you can do that, just request it in the comments or whatever. Are you interested in bringing more brands on as an AD? So, as a lot of you guys and girls know, we are the official stockist of Fears watches. We're also a official stockist of the Strap Tailor in terms of straps, but most notably with watches, obviously Fears watches. We've been an authorised dealer for some time now. We've sold multiple. We have a lot of collectors who have them and are our customers, so it's really great to see. And we've introduced actually a lot of people over to Fears, which has been fantastic. So, do we have intentions to bring more brands on? 100%. I would love to bring more brands on if we can. The issue is finding a brand that is in line with what we do here at Kibble Watches. So, to be completely transparent, we have had some brands actually come to us over the years requesting for us to stock their watches on the website and physically here in the office, but it just doesn't add up. It's not the kind of collaboration where if I put out the announcement, people would go, that makes sense and that's awesome. It's the kind of collaboration where people would go, that could work, but it just seems more of an opportunity to make some money. Not that there's anything wrong with making money, but we want to do it in the right way, and that's the very important part. Fears fits in with what we do. We're a British brand. We're here in Clerkenwell. Historic for watches in this location, so to support the second oldest British watch brand in the UK, obviously, is kind of incredible to do. And obviously, I'm good friends with Nicholas, so I want to emulate that going forward. So there are some brands we are very close with in terms of communication and knowing the owners, and we've had a couple of their watches here and there as pre-owned. And those brands we want to definitely work with in the future. It's just making it work logistically. And that's where the trouble, and not the trouble, but the difficulty comes in. Some of these brands, they have a 8 to 12 month waiting time in terms of producing their watches, such as Garrick. For a brand like that, for us to even have display models, we're going to be waiting 1.5 to 2 years for an opening for us just to get display models in for you guys and girls to see, to then decide whether you want to put in an order. It's not a logical way of doing it. So brands like that is very difficult, as much as both me and Garrick would probably like to do something like that. And then there's other brands that potentially down the road we could be doing some things with. But I think what's more logical, and what you're probably going to see from us, is maybe in a few years or even sooner, some limited edition special pieces, maybe 5 or 10 pieces total in collaboration with a brand, where we have, or my input, and, we make something I really like and I think represents their brand and our brand together. So maybe that's something we'll do in the future, so keep an eye out. I'd love to know, what brand would you like to see us collaborate with in the future, whether it be in terms of becoming an authorized dealer and we sell their watches, or whether it's just content creation. Maybe we do some interesting stuff with them. For example, I'd really like to do a bit more Christopher Ward this year, so hopefully we're going to make that happen. So just let us know down in the comments, what would you like to see? Next up, we have 3 questions from one person. Thank you very much. This is Watch Collecting Couple, at Watch Collecting Couple on Instagram. They ask, do you have a watch collecting philosophy? So I don't have a very deep philosophy of my watch collection, no, but in terms of like a rule and something I like to stick by and something I really do preach, I believe in owning what you like. I don't believe in following the trends and just getting something because it's hyped and it's, you know, everyone else has one. You know, I've certainly owned watches and we've sold watches and we'll continue to sell watches that are in that vein. But the thing is, there's always people who buy those watches because they love them, not because it's just hype. So that's where the sort of the difficulty comes in as a seller sometimes. But in terms of my philosophy, every single watch I own, I want to wear, you know, unless it has very, very significant, you know, meaning. For example, I have a gift from my father from many, many years ago. It's a Ricchetta, or Seconda, sorry. So it's the Ricchetta Seconda version. I could go on for ages about it. But anyway, that kind of watch I don't really wear anymore, but it would never leave the collection. So there are some exceptions, but for the most part, if I'm not wearing or enjoying a watch, it's not staying in the collection. And that's the biggest part of my collecting philosophy. I don't have a certain number in mind, although I do like to keep it under 10. But if it goes over 10, it doesn't matter as long as each watch I actually love, enjoy and wear. I don't have price, you know, differences in my head. I don't look at my collection and go, well, that one's worth more money, so I'll wear that one more. You know, I very much wear, for example, this actually recently just as much as other things, you know, like the fears and things like that. So that's my philosophy. And again, just like the last question, I'd love to know what yours is. If you guys and girls have a deep philosophy, you know, you have some deep meaning to how and why you collect, let us know down in the comments. So the next question from Watch Collecting Couple: what pieces are you looking to add to your personal collection in 2022? Great question. So this year I am fully intending, we'll see how good I am with this, but I'm fully intending to be on my best behavior. So I'm trying not to add many watches this year. There's a couple I would like to add, and one of them most quickly that comes to my head is more affordable actually. It's a Brew Metric. I really want to add one of those to the personal collection. We had one in for sale. Kind of regret not keeping it, but this is when I think we had like 6 watches in at that time that I wanted to keep. So it wasn't just like the Brew was the only one. I'd have probably tried to keep all 6. So that's where the trouble comes in. But short term or more affordable, definitely a Brew Metric will enter the collection this year. In terms of like a bit more left field and a bit more pricey, definitely more pricey, but a bit more left field, and I think something not a lot of people are expecting, but I would really like to add a Grand Seiko 3-hander date on a bracelet, modern, to the collection. Which one, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the spring drive personally, not anything against it, it's just if there's the option for the high beat or any of the other automatic, or even the quartz, you know, I might consider that. So to the personal collection, short term, Brew Metric, more affordable, probably going to happen soon. Long term, maybe towards the end of the year, something that could be like a celebratory piece, the Grand Seiko on a bracelet. Which reference? I have no idea. Let me know if you have a reference in mind that you think would suit the collection. Let me know. And the final question from Watch Collecting Couple: what was the first watch and what was the last watch to enter your collection? So first watch ever to enter the collection was a Seconda, modern Seconda, black diver style on a leather strap. It was some fashion brand. I think it cost me like £30. And it had a diving bezel that was fixed. You couldn't actually rotate it. It didn't have a screw down crown. It was just this interesting looking thing. It didn't last very long. But in terms of the first watch to enter the collection, that was a true watch and a keeper. It was my personal Citizen Eagle 7, which I still own to this day. I'll put a photo on screen. I love that watch. I actually intend to wear it a bit more this year because it reminds me of where everything began. I paid like £13 for that watch on a Jubilee bracelet on eBay all those years ago. So, you know, that's a watch that will forever remain, you know, important and special to me. And in terms of the last watch to enter the collection, it was, if you watch my State of the Collection video, a blue GMT from Christopher Ward. But I quickly swapped that out for the yellow we had. We had a yellow Trident, not Trident, it is Trident 316L limited edition. Again, I'll put a photo on screen. I love that watch on the bracelet. It's so interesting, unique, and a yellow watch. You know, I never thought I'd add a yellow watch to the collection. So very happy to have that. Next question is actually from Kibsnick, who is my dad on Instagram. Thank you for the question. It says, what part of your business do you find the most satisfying? Oh, great question. The most satisfying part of my business is when we sell a watch to a true collector, someone who's been looking for that watch, saving for that watch, has dreamt of that watch. You know, we've been I've been very fortunate to have sold multiple Grail watches to people, and I'm not talking Grail in terms of just insane value. I'm talking Grail in terms of something someone's wanted for a long time, including actually my dad. I managed to swap basically all of his collection other than a few and get him his dream Speedmaster. So to me, that will always outweigh a great big sale, that will outweigh a profitable year. It will always outweigh everything in terms of what just feels amazing. You know, fulfilling someone's watch dream, and you know, being the person to do that and guide them along the way. There's been actually multiple occasions where we've helped someone change their mind on certain things because they've maybe wanted a certain piece which doesn't really fit with what they're thinking it's going to be, and then we've guided them in the right direction, found the watch that fits them perfectly, and they still own it today. You know, that's always incredible, especially when we go to like red bars and watch events and people come up to us and say, "Oh, you sold me this watch," and you know, it's there on their wrist and it still gives them a big smile. That's definitely the most satisfying. Next question from @claire.watch. One to watch in 2022, brand, reference, person or otherwise. So he's basically asking what should we keep an eye out for. So let me answer this. Let me answer all brand, basically what he said. So brand, in terms of vintage, I said it last year, I'll say it this year. I think Nevada and Mido, I think they are still very underrated, and I think people are going to start waking up to them. So I'd highly recommend keeping an eye out for interesting and good references in Nevada and Mido. And in terms of modern, I really think Breguet. I think Breguet are going to have a year this year because independence and micro and all this stuff is just going crazy at the moment, but people are forgetting how incredible Breguet are and how available they are. You can still get them at retail and likely get a pretty decent discount for what is arguably some of the best watchmaking around, in my opinion. In terms of reference, unfortunately, it's going to be Rolex, right? Because we're talking one to watch out for. I think the reference 16550, 16570, which are Explorer 2s, transitional or not, Swiss only, whatever, you know, that reference I think still has the most room to grow because at the end of the day, the Explorer 2 is just as good, in my opinion, as the GMT. In terms of design, I absolutely love it. I prefer it to the GMT, and I think a lot of people do. So the price on that, I think, is only going to creep up. So keep an eye out for that one. We've had a few, and they've definitely been more and more expensive each time. In terms of person, I think Roman Schaff of Luxury Bazaar, and Luxury Bazaar as a business, I think we've got to keep a close eye on what they're doing this year. They're definitely setting some standards for what watch dealers should be doing. And bigger watch dealer companies like them, you know, I think they did 130 million in sales last year, so they're a massive company. I suspect they're probably going to get some sort of deal with their series, with maybe like Netflix or Amazon or something like that. I suspect that will happen this year. And in terms of Roman Schaff as a person, I think we're probably going to find out. Again, I have no clue of this. I haven't spoken to him about any of this, but I think he's going to reveal some sort of retirement plan in like five or so years. So I think he's going to lay out some sort of milestone goal that he wants to do in those 5 years. Again, I could be completely off on all that, but that's just what I think personally. I'd love to know what you think we should be keeping an eye on. And the final question of this episode from @Jevon Abraham. Sorry if I've absolutely butchered that. He asks, ideas for a watch I can give to my daughter when she turns 18, but one that I, her father, can wear now. So basically, I take it you're having a daughter, or you've had a daughter, congratulations, and you're wanting to buy a watch that you can gift her when she turns 18, but until then, one you're going to wear and enjoy. Really nice idea, I love that. So in terms of what instantly comes to mind, personally, is Cartier. You know, you could go down the route of Rolex, any 36mm Datejust or Oyster Perpetual or whatever it may be. Always a great option, there's no harm in that either. But for something a little bit different, a little bit left field, I would personally go Cartier. I'd be looking at a Cartier Tank or a Santos, maybe an earlier Galbi, automatic. I just think you've got something that is so universal and unisex, and something that's not too feminine, it's not too masculine. It really does fall in that perfect category of being, you know, a good looking watch to everyone. And especially it's transcending time. You know, it's been a great design since it was started, and it still looks fantastic today, if not better today. So Cartier is my number one. Second to that, I'd actually say like a vintage Omega, you know, like a really nice, clean example vintage Omega Seamaster. If you can get the oversized 36, perfect. If not the 34 on a leather strap or a Jubilee, beads of rice, sorry, from Omega, fantastic. I don't think you can go wrong. And that way, I'm sort of giving you 3 tier options. You know, you've got the vintage Omega, which depending on the example, you can find, you know, under 1,500 quite comfortably. Cartier, which is definitely getting up there now, sort of between 1.5 and 3, depending on which one you go for. And obviously, in these examples, there's always going to be ones that far surpass the numbers I'm saying. And then after that, you know, you save up a bit more, and you could be getting an Oyster Perpetual or Datejust or Oyster Date or something like that. So hopefully, those 3 examples give you some idea. Personally, I'd be going Santos Galbi all day long over all of them. I think it's a beautiful watch and one that looks great on him or her, and regardless of wrist size as well, I don't think you can go wrong. So yeah, what a great question to end on. I hope all you guys and girls enjoyed this episode. If you did, be sure to leave a like. Don't forget to check out the other episodes, because we have answered a lot of questions across this series, and I do usually get most of the time the question of, you know, how much money do you earn, and is this a profitable business to get into, all that kind of stuff, and I've answered that a few times now, so do check out the other videos if you do have some questions, or just ask it and I can point you in the right direction if I've already answered it. But thank you very much, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you again soon.